with in a sensational performance by Unbridled Song. Devastated a very solid field of 3-year-olds in the Florida Derby. For my money, he's a legitimate 7 or 8 to 5 favorite right now for the Kentucky Derby.
Oh, now wait, this means the run for the roses is over?
No, don't put your mortgage on it. I respect Wayne Lucas. He has holding a lot of cards again this year. I don't think all of them are aces and kings necessarily, but you always have to respect D. Wayne come 3-year-old time, and I'm sure he'll have something to say before it's all said and done.
Well, he plays a couple today. Prince of Thieves will be the favorite, if even money favorite on the morning line, in the San Felipe later today at Santa Anita. And he throws a card on the table here today, a rather unknown one named Grindstone.
It's probably about his 5th or 6th string 3-year-old, but capable of improving. He's lightly raced. He'll be one of the 3 favorites here today as we run down the field for this Louisiana Derby. We have 8 of them, and we begin with a couple of local long shots. They are Commander's Palace and Garçon Rouge. Zarb's Magic will likely be on the lead. He is another local hero here, modestly bred, but he'll try to take him wire to wire. And there is a Grindstone with a red-hot Jerry Bailey in for this ride. EC's Dream has Lafitte Pinkai Jr., who shipped in from the West Coast for this assignment. I think Imminent First, number 6, is a live long shot at 8 to 1 in the morning line. City by Night, a legitimate contender in this race. Another excellent, outstanding, white-hot rider in Shane Sellers. And if you like the turf to dirt angle, you might go for OK by Me with George Chavez, the trainer, Bond, H. James Bond.
You know, when you look to win this race, though, you better check the locals out pretty carefully. And they were all running in the Risen Star prep here, February 25th.
Yeah, Risen Star, of course, is named after the aforementioned horse who won this race in 1988. Let's identify the 4 that graduated from that race. This is the front runner and winner, Zarb's Magic. This is Imminent First, who chased him. Commander's Palace back in about the 6th path, and EC's Dream way on the outside. And as we unroll the tape, you see that Zarb's Magic took an honest lead in this race in very legitimate fractions, 23 and change, 46 and change. He was the only horse that day at the fairgrounds to take a field wire to wire. And I really see no excuse for any of the other 3 out of this race. Imminent First. Oh, EC's Dream cut himself up a little bit. Commander's Palace finishing well up the track as we see those 2 frozen here. But out of that race, you got to think that Zarb's Magic was the most impressive in wire-to-wire fashion.
A little postscript on that Risen Star, by the way. It has produced 4 of our last 8 winners of this Louisiana Derby. Also joining us today, just off the plane, shipping in from Florida, and a great day at Gulfstream Park, Dave Johnson with more on the Florida Derby race, and he's in the jocks room here at the fairgrounds.
Thanks, Chris. But first, the result of another race. The jockey standings from Gulfstream Park. The meet ended yesterday, and with 5 victories on the final program, going down to the final race, the winner was Jerry Bailey, who beat Shane Sellers by 1 race. Congratulations, Jerry.
Thanks, Dave. It was probably one of the most exciting jockey races I've ever been involved in.
Why?
Well, I think that Shane riding so well made me ride better. I think it went back to him. I think it raised our level of riding just immensely.
It was a great meet, and congratulations. Now, turning to today's Louisiana Derby. You're riding a horse that you've never been on before. Very little experience on the racetrack for that horse. What are you looking for?
Well, I think with a horse with only 3 races under his belt, I'm going to try and make his trip as clear as possible from the gate to the wire. No bumping if I can help it. Not much interference in his face. I think that the smoother I can make his trip, the better off I'm going to be.
What has trainer Wayne Lucas and Jeff, his assistant, told you about Grindstone?
That he'll probably get a stalking position, and hopefully he can run him down. It's a long stretch here, so I think that'll come to play.
Okay, turning our attention now to the big horse in your life, and of course, congratulations on the Eclipse Award last year. What about Cigar? He left for Dubai yesterday. When are you going?
Yeah, I'm going next Friday night. My wife and I went to the barn last night at 8:30 to see him, say goodbye, see him off, and we'll start our journey next Friday night.
Several American riders have been over to Dubai before. Have you?
I have never been over there, so it's going to be a unique experience for me.
And what are you looking for in terms of the surface?
Well, I'm told it's very similar to Belmont. I will have worked Cigar over it and ridden a race or 2 before the Dubai Cup, so I'll have a little bit of experience.
Jerry, have a great trip to Dubai and a good one this afternoon on Grindstone.
Thanks, Dave.
Back to you, Chris. From Florida. And the important thing to remember is that 4 of the last 5 Kentucky Derby winners took the Florida route to the Triple Crown. Well, now the big race of the day was the $500,000 mile and an eighth Florida Derby with headliners Cobra King and Unbridled. Winning trainer Jim Ryerson, what was the difference between yesterday, Saturday, and his defeat in the Fountain of Youth last month?
the one thing, and I was a little skeptical, but Mike talked me into it a little, was going without the pony in a post parade. He's been good in the mornings, but you know, that's a risk. But he was very good today, and that helped a lot. He had a rough run into the first turn in the Fountain of Youth today. He had a clear run. He's settled, and if he settles, he's going to pick it up, and they're going to have to run him down. And the other day, he didn't settle enough early, and a horse was able to come get him, but not today.
Another trainer in the race, Wayne Lucas, who has 5 legitimate Derby contenders scattered across the country, has reason to be encouraged by the performance of runner-up Editor's Note.
He has got great ability, and we think he's legitimate. We feel good that he was finishing. I think if we'd been one of those other fellas where we were up there at the top of the stretch and we didn't finish and we're fading out of the picture, then I'd have great reason for concern. The fact that we didn't catch Unbridled Song, who ran a beautiful race and actually had a very, very good pace all the way and had it pretty much his own way all the way around, you know, is one thing, but we're not discouraged. And again, these are races that are supposed to lead to the Kentucky Derby, and they should do just that.
Now, as for Cobra King, I said he finished second. I should have said he finished second last. And he raced against some very good 3-year-olds. And with 56 days between his win in the Holy Bull Stakes and yesterday, he also raced against Tradition, and Tradition won. Now, over at the Cobra King camp, well, they're not ready to give the cigarette and the blindfold to trainer Mike Pipey yet, but they are definitely reconsidering their options. And an hour before that, well, Mike Smith was roaring through the stretch aboard Roar to win the Swale Stakes. The Swale Stakes named after a colt that Claiborne Farm raced, and of course, Claiborne Farm also the owner of Roar. So we talked to Mike about what the plan was for Roar and its execution.
Well, the game plan was to let the speed go, just sit right off him and run him down late. Well, not really necessarily unfortunate, but I kind of got into a little box and I was taking a lot of dirt, but he's got to go ahead and do that kind of stuff and still overcome it, you know, to belong in the Triple Crown races, you know, coming up. So he did all that and more, so I was just ecstatic with the way he ran. I was forced to sit for a little while, but as soon as the horse on the outside of me stopped, I was able to come on out and let him do what he had to do.
And don't forget, the Swale Stakes was a 1-turn, 7-furlong event, and winning trainer Shug McGahee has an idea about what Roar has to do to be a Derby contender.
I think the biggest thing is if he'll run long. You know, that was some of what we were doing today, is trying to, you know, see if he would go on and finish up and would lay in behind horses. And so, you know, we've got to go long. We've got to go around 2 turns, and he's got to be impressive doing it.
Shug is still looking for his first Kentucky Derby win, and he's listed the Jim Beam as the probable next start for Roar. But the day in Florida started off with a 1 1/8 Unbridled Stakes, and zipping off fractions of 24 and 47 and 4 was George Steinbrenner's gray colt Diligence, who showed a lot of natural speed and a nice kick at the end when draw came to him at the top of the stretch. Diligence very professionally pulled away. After the race, we asked trainer Nick Zito about the continued progress of his colt.
You know, you keep going into these next steps to get to the Derby, and now we have to go to another step, another event, and once again, if he can continue on and go forward, as I said, he'll get to the Derby the right way, and the bluegrass of the Wood Memorial will tell. But I know one thing, I mean, he's as good as any 3-year-old in the country. I'm positive of that. So he just has to stay the same. He doesn't have a lot of weight, you know, and if he could stay the same, he's got the heart to take it, man. What can I say?
Well, to wrap it all up, Unbridled Song is now the horse to beat, while Editor's Note, Diligence, and Roar showed that, well, all we can do is make the Triple Crown more exciting with those in the field. Hey, Bob Newmeyer, what was your impression of yesterday's Florida action?
I was kind of interested in Wayne Lucas's comments, and I would agree with Wayne that he should be encouraged by the fine second of Editor's Note, but I kind of got a kick out of Wayne kind of underselling the winner's performance, saying he had it his own way. Well, I mean, 46 and change, 109 and change, 134 and change. I mean, this is sensational racehorse time, and Unbridled Song unbelievable yesterday at the Florida Derby.
Maybe, finally, we might have a Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner who will go on to win the Roses. I'll tell you, they like him at Caesar's Palace. So they love him at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. Here's their Kentucky Derby future book. Here you see before the race and after. You see the big winner as far as the odds Unbridled song, along with editor's note, the big loser, Cobra King, dropping from 3 to 6.
Six-year-old season running in graded stakes competition. Last October at Keeneland, for example, he finished second to the highly touted Honor and Glory in the Breeders' Futurity. This year began with a solid win at Gulfstream Park. And with that foundation, trainer Patrick Burns' bay colt appears primed and ready to step forward this afternoon.
He had some seasoned races last year and chased some really good horses, as you can see in his form. But I think it's a good spot for him here on Sunday, and there's some very nice, talented 3-year-olds in the race too, so it'd be a good spot for him to see if we're on cue with what we've got in mind this year.
One of the other talented 3-year-olds in today's race is Grindstone. This lightly raced member of Team Lucas tiptoes into the 3-year-old spotlight, fresh off a second-place finish at Santa Anita last month. A race that earned the well-traveled son of Unbridled an impressive speed figure.
He's a horse that has started out in the East and then came to California. And as he's progressed throughout the spring, and we were pleased with the way he's going, and he's going the right direction at the right time. So now we'll look to the major preps, the next, this race and maybe one more, and then of course the big races for all the 3-year-olds at this time of year.
The classic Triple Crown races are just around the bend, and for horses and trainers alike, it's the most challenging time of year.
At this time of year, when you get past January, even February and March and April are key moments for these 3-year-olds, and the biggest opportunity they have in racing is generally the Triple Crown. So it's something that everybody, when you go to the barn every day, you have no trouble getting there. You're anxious to see what you got and how they're doing, and just hope that you can move them forward and improve them at this point.
Then all of a sudden you get a nice 3-year-old that everyone wants to know about and talk about and write about, and then you kind of find yourself getting, well, maybe my colt is all right. Everybody wants to know about him, so that's when you start, I guess, getting pumped up.
Well, at least you think Patrick Byrne has an Irish accent, and the name sounds Irish to you, and he may have an edge on St. Patrick's Day. We did some checking. He's English. Dave?
Couple of the horses, and here is number 8, OK By Me, being paraded in the walking ring directly in front of the stands here. Trained by Jimmy Bond. We thought this horse was going to run in the Florida Derby all last week, but here he is. His last 3 have been on the turf. He's never been off the board when he raced on the grass, but opportunities on the turf for 3-year-olds not that great, so the opportunity is here today and on the dirt. And Jorge Chavez rides. Let's also take a look at number 6, Imminent First. Took a long time, matter of fact, 8 races for him to break his maiden. He was racing in New Jersey and New Orleans before he got a new set of blinkers and a new lease on life. And he was a good second at 21-1 last out in the Risen Star. He carries 118 pounds. That's 4 pounds less, Chris, than the big guns who tote 122 in here.
At 15, big price on Garçon Rouge. There's our favorite, Zarb's Magic at 3-2. The second choice, Wayne Lucas's Grindstone at 5-2. EC's Dream from Sid Craig Stable at 6. Eminent First, double figures. City by Night at 5. OK By Me at 7-1. Well, our 3-year-olds are gathered on the track now. 8 to go, 1 mile and a 16th this afternoon for the richest purse ever offered here at the fairgrounds, $370,000. It's $222,000 for the winner. Here is the field in post position order. The 1 is Commander's Palace. Been first or second in 4 of 5 starts before a disappointing and unexplained 6 in the Risen Star. Blinkers are off today for this late runner. Named for one of New Orleans' most famous eateries, Commander's Palace. Kurt Bork, the rider, second leading rider in the standings here. This a $200,000 Keeneland sale horse. Garçon Rouge, 4th in the Lecomte after a long layoff, then ran 6 up at Oaklawn in their Southwest Stakes. Did have a bullet work here, but asking a lot today. Eddie Martin, one of their regular fairgrounds leaders in the irons. Here's our race favorite, the 3-horse Louisiana bred Zarb's Magic, 5-length winner of the Risen Star Prep, consistent colt on the board in 9 of 10 starts, runs on or near the lead. He's trying to become just the 2nd Louisiana bred in 71 years, though, to win the Derby. E.J. Parrott and the rider. Zarb's Magic, the gelding. Now on to the colt Grindstone from Overbrook Farm. Saw Mr. W.T. Young here today. He's a ship-in from the Lucas stable in California after his second in an allowance race in his 96 debut. Looking to find out how good he is. No question how good the rider is. Jerry Bailey, the Eclipse champion of last year, a Hall of Famer, the rider of Cigar. EC's Dream is the 5, just purchased 2 races to go by Sid and Jenny Craig. Has made 10 starts at 6 different tracks in New Mexico and California. He was 3rd in the El Camino Real Derby, a disappointing 5th in the Risen Star. The jockey, one of the greats of all time, the Hall of Famer Lafitte Pincaille from California. The 6 is Imminent First. Finished 2nd in the Risen Star Prep after breaking his maiden last month in his 8th attempt to break his maiden. Ronald Ardoin is the jockey, just inducted into the Fairgrounds Hall of Fame last night. He's won more than 4,000 races. This a $15,000 Keeneland sale purchase. Rounding out our field, City by Night by Slew City Slew, a ship-in after winning an allowance race at Gulfstream in his only start this year. Did hit the board in 7 of 8 starts at 2 and earning over $120,000. Shane Sellers just heard 2nd in the recent Gulfstream standings. Now the 8-horse OK By Me. This is a Canadian bred. Appears to be better on turf. A $55,000 Keeneland purchase won the Tropical Park Derby and the Palm Beach, both on the grass, making its return to the main track for the first time since last August. In for the ride from New York, George Chavez. OK By Me. That rounds out the field for the 1996 Louisiana Derby. Big price. Czar's Magic now 8-5. Grindstone 5-2 second choice. EC's Dream at 8. Then it's Imminent First at 15. City by Night 7-2. And OK By Me is at 7. So Czar's Magic getting the support from the locals here, but I know you folks are looking for some value as well, so we asked Bob Newmeyer to take a shot at a Bud Long Shot.
Here's Louisiana Derby. Our Bud Long Shot was the late-running In Character, who closed with a furious rush to just miss the favorite Patientville. This year, we're trying the same strategy with EC's Dream, a recent 6-figure purchase by Sid and Jenny Craig. He was a stakes winner in the Southwest before heading to Northern California. There, he displayed his potent stretch drive to get close in 2 graded stakes, including this hard-charging 3rd behind Cavanier in the El Camino Real Derby in January. Yes, his local race in the Risen Star was totally forgettable, but he's trained well since and may be better acclimated to his surroundings. Plus, his Hall of Fame jockey Lafitte Pincaille returns for this engagement. The fans who made him the favorite in the Risen Star may have been 1 race too early, so we suggest they take another shot, and this time they might just get their dream price on our Budweiser Long Shot.
EC's Dream, the 5-horse, just purchased by Sid and Jenny Craig, is now 7-1. Dave?
And you know, that's basically the advice of Lafitte Pincaille Jr. Take another shot. I spoke with him on the phone when he arrived at the fairgrounds today. He said this horse didn't run his last race quite right, and he's a better horse than it looks. There were a few eyebrows raised when, after finishing 5th, beaten 12 lengths, that Pincaille made the trip on a Sunday when he could have ridden out there in California at Santa Anita to come here. But he said the track didn't suit him last time that much, and he looks for a big effort. This horse is better than he seems. But I tell you, I think the horse to beat is not that one or Czar's Magic, but Grindstone, a horse who sat on the shelf with some physical problems, a little ankle chip for 7.5 months, and came back with a huge effort February the 16th at Santa Anita, finishing 2nd to real good 3-year-old Bud Royale. Lightliest raced horse in the field, and the least amount of earnings I think is going to come out of this one with the most money in the paycheck today.
When he was bombs away about 16, 18, 20 to 1, and now Chris, he's up there at 8-5, and Imminent First, who was favorite in the Risen Star, is up there at 18 to 1. It's funny how things can change after just 1 race, but the question here is how far can Czar's Magic go in the lead?
Commander's Palace, the 1 is rather interesting, too, from Tom Amos' stable. He's closing on his 5th training title here in the last 6 years. He has no explanation for what happened to Commander's Palace in the 6th. I like him, though, Dave, because I'm trying to get a reservation at Commander's Palace.
They're all in line for Louisiana Derby, and they're off. Czar's Magic bounces right out to the early lead on the outside. City by Night to challenge early. Grindstone between horses, and Chavez takes the outside route. Guns his horse, and that's OK By Me, now 3rd and 3 wide as they round the first turn. Czar's Magic has the rail and the lead by a head. On the outside, City by Night is 2nd by 2 1/4 lengths. Then comes OK by Me racing third, with Bailey content to sit fourth along the inside. In the white colors and the lime cap, that's Grindstone, about 3.5 off the lead. Here comes Commander's Palace moving with a rush along the inside, now fifth and gaining on the leaders. Imminent first in the red colors, sixth at this point. Garçon Rouge is seventh. And the distant trailer is the Bud Longshot EC's Dream with Pin Kai. He's 15 lengths from the front. They go to the far turn, and it's still Zarb's Magic in front by 3/4 of a length. City by Night on the outside is second. Grindstone is racing third and gaining a bit. At the rail, Commander's Palace saves ground, is right there within striking distance. OK by Me has faded to fifth at this point, and Imminent first looks for a little racing room along the inside rail as they turn for home, and it's the favorite, Zarb's Magic. But on the outside, here comes Bailey with Grindstone. City of Night drops out of it. And down the stretch they come in the Louisiana Derby. And on the outside, Grindstone takes command, draws clear by 1.25 lengths. Zarb's Magic hanging on for the second spot. Nobody else is gaining, but Grindstone is pulling away. And Grindstone, trained by Lucas, ridden by Bailey, takes the Louisiana Derby's 71st running by about 3 lengths in fine fashion. The time, 1 minute 42 3/5 seconds.
Well, the fifth off of the stakes record, and add another one to the D. Wayne Lucas table. He probably moves up a bit, Bob. Grindstone with this victory, and Jerry Bailey taking full advantage of the second longest stretch in American racing. You're at the quarter pole when you make the turn here.
Chris, what a weekend for the sire Unbridled.
Oh, wow.
2 big 3-year-old wins. This is Grindstone. D. Wayne had him penciled in about 5th or 6th string on his list, but here he is in the middle of the track with Jerry Bailey, and everything that Jerry Bailey touches turns to gold these days. And Jerry Bailey just wore down the front runner, Zarb's Magic, who held the lead as expected from the starting gate. And pretty decent fractions in this race. A 46.2 to the half, 111.2, and a quick mile of 35.4. This is a good-looking performance, Chris, by a horse who had a tough trip at Santa Anita last time in a mile race when he got caught outside behind a slow pace. But he has developed and looks like a good one.
Very lightly raced. This just his 4th career start. He goes from 32,710 in earnings, now add 222,000 to that, and mark down the name Grindstone on the Triple Crown Trail. And there unofficially, Grindstone, Zarb's Magic, the race favorite, the local hero here is second, and Commander's Palace third. I've got to wait another year, Dave, for a reservation at Commander's Palace. Over to you, Dave, for a closer look at how Grindstone did it.
Yeah, let's watch the final quarter mile or so. As they came to the top of the stretch, Zarb's Magic, they're wearing saddlecloth number 3, is in front. City of Night is second. Watch in the lime cap and the white colors on the outside. Bailey just floats his colt to the middle of the racetrack, and you're going to see him keep gathering the reins. He still hasn't asked for the explosion of speed. Also, watch the left side of your screen. Imminent first and EC's Dream bump there. But, of course, that had nothing to do with the eventual outcome of the race. Bailey then, right-handed, gets into this horse, and he keeps a fine, straight course, and he's hand-ridden. Doesn't look like he's tiring at all. That was an impressive performance. He's come back to the races better than ever. Grindstone taking the Louisiana Derby.
As they come to the winner's circle, and W.T. Stone returning 680, 360, and 320 is the second choice in the race. The favorite, Zarb's Magic, at 322.60. Commander's Palace up for the show spot, and the exacta returns $20.60. The running time for the mile and a 16th, 1:42 3. That's the tick off of the stakes record. Here's the complete order of finish now with Grindstone, Zarb's Magic, Commander's Palace, then EC's Dream, Imminent first, City by Night, Garçon Rouge, OK by Me rounds out the field. Bob?
Chris, I think the last time I was with Jerry Bailey when he jumped on a horse for the first time was our Kong in the Breeders' Cup Classic, and that was about a $150 bomb-away horse, and you didn't speak French, and you didn't know what the instructions were, but this was your first trip aboard the Grindstone. Nice little horse.
Yes, he is. He's lightly raced, but they're like children, you know, they improve or get worse or better from race to race. You just don't know, and this horse is certainly improving.
Jerry, you told me, or I should say you told Dave Johnson before the races, you just wanted to really get a clean trip on this horse, and indeed you did today.
Yeah, with horses with inexperience, you just don't want to get him in any trouble, and I pretty much had a great trip in behind the speed, got him outside, and just let him show his talent from the quarter pole home, and he had plenty of it.
Here you are swinging 3 wide and really haven't asked your 3-year-old for too much. Now you're shaking up those reins, and boy, did he respond. Nice little mile split, too, Jerry. 1:35.4.
I think the time was pretty good, especially since the first time he's gone this far, and I don't think I asked him for his best, so maybe he has some improvement left.
I would imagine this move will bring him higher on the Team Lucas depth chart. He has so many bullets in his holster for the Run for the Roses, but he may have to reconsider this one.
Well, I'll have to ask the coach where he wants me, I guess.
All right, Jerry Bailey, the winning rider, here today at the Louisiana Derby. Chris?
Well, I'm with the owner, breeder, Mr. W.T. Young of Overbrook Farm. Jeff Lucas into saddle for Wayne today. By the way, the second Lucas victory in this Louisiana Derby. They won back in 1983. Everybody wants to know this time of year, Mr. Young, how good's this 3-year-old? Where's he going from here after this Derby victory?
Well, it's a thrill to get your first Derby no matter where. It's a great race.
How about the plans now? Where do you think he might go next?
Well, hopefully he'll go in the Bluegrass Stakes and then on to the Kentucky Derby.
Jeff, very lightly raced. Tell us something about Grindstone.
He's a horse we've gone lightly with, but he's really shown a lot of improvement and a lot of power in the last month or so. He's really improved, and even in the morning from day to day, he's really shown a lot of life. And, you know, at this time of year for all 3-year-olds, you're always looking forward to races like today. And fortunately here, he came in, shipped in well, and had a good trip. Jerry rode him very well, and we were able to get the money in a nice race leading to the Derby.
Big, long stretch, more than a quarter of a mile had to help.
Absolutely, and he finished well. He had a good trip, and then when he pulled up to the quarter pole, he ran him down. So, you know, for 3-year-olds with a Derby mile and a quarter, you're always looking for those type of things, and this horse came through today.
Our congratulations to two of the class groups in racing, W.T. Young, Overbrook Farm, and, of course, Jeff Lucas and the Lucas Stable. We'll be back to wrap things up here from the fairgrounds right after this.
Let's take a look at the Wittenauer splits for this 71st running of the Louisiana Derby. And Zarb's Magic set some pretty good fractions. Honest, 23-1, 46-2, 111-2. The mile, 135-4, and a final time of 142-3. And Zarb's Magic has set the early fractions, held on for a good second. And just to put this in perspective, 1/5 of a second faster than Petionville ran this race last year, and only 3/5 of a second off the track record, which has stood for a couple years. Just a closing thought is that if anybody asks you who's going to win the Kentucky Derby, the safest answer would be Unbridled Song or Wayne Lucas. Because if anybody's going to give Unbridled Song a run for the money under those twin spires at Churchill Downs, it's probably going to be one of Lucas's hopefuls, which include Honor and Glory, Prince of Thieves, Editor's Note, Victory Speech, and a little horse by the name of Grindstone. Nice performance this afternoon. Now it's time for the crew to enjoy that Cajun corned beef and a cold bud.
First in line, Dave Johnson. You're absolutely right. The question is, which one of Wayne Lucas' horses will be there to challenge Unbridled Song? Or moreover, will it be all of them? I mean, close your eyes and imagine Mike Smith in the middle of the gate on Unbridled Song, and he has 2 Lucas horses on his left and 2 Lucas horses on his right, and as they pound for home, he's in the middle whipping and driving, and he sees Jerry Bailey on one side and another jockey on the other. It's going to be really something, and there's plenty of other 3-year-old races before we get to Kentucky and Churchill Downs on the first Saturday in May, but that's the way it's sizing up right now. Unbridled Song against a cast of thousands from the ample barn of Mr. D. Wayne Lucas. Chris?
Well, certainly a big weekend for the stallion Unbridled, who stands at Gainesway Farm, and I know the Kentuckians are smiling. Unbridled Song, of course, the son of Unbridled, as was today's Louisiana Derby winner, Grindstone. And you're right, I think Grindstone has moved into Lucas's starting lineup now, maybe even up to 3rd, depending on how Prince of Thieves does in his San Felipe race later this afternoon at Santa Anita. We'll continue on our campaign trail 96 towards the Kentucky Derby, one of the richest preps. The Jim Beam Stakes. Always look forward to that at Turfway Park in Florence, Kentucky. We'll be there live Saturday, April 1st, 4:30 to 5:30 on ESPN. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage of the Louisiana Derby. Grindstone the winner. And for all of you, a happy St. Patrick's Day. So long, everyone.